everyone, and welcome back again to another episode of the Relentless Transitions podcast. We are so excited to have you here with us today for a special holiday edition of the Relentless Transitions podcast. And if you're new to our channel, we talk about life, business, and ways to triumph in both of them. Rosalind and I are global partners. I represent the U.S. right here in Georgia, and Rosalind hails from Canada. And we're just excited to share with you today this very unique story. So how are you today, Miss Rosalind?
I'm doing really well, Teresa. This topic we're going to deal with today may not necessarily be the most uplifting, but we hope the tips we can share with you throughout it actually help. So with that little mysterious introduction, I'm going to throw it back to you, Teresa, to get the ball rolling.
Yes. Well, you know what? We're going to start out happy and we're going to end up happier. Although we might talk about some things that are really pretty serious and something that we just want to recognize during the holidays. We're going to talk about how to actually maintain your happy during the holidays, how to manage that holiday stress and depression. You know, the holiday time is a super, super exciting time for me. Actually, my favorite holiday is Christmas. I absolutely love Christmas. As a matter of fact, I mean, we can turn our home into a little mini Christmas wonderland, and we have done it a time or two. We've done everything but bring in that machine that blows snow all over the place and has it all over the floor. So we haven't done that yet, but certainly not yet. That will come with a plan for cleaners afterwards. But maybe that might be our next thing to add. But we're so excited to be with you here today. And as I said, Christmas time or the holidays in general, you know, it's just a great time. You know, and I love it not just for like giving or for the gifts, but I love to just fellowship. And I definitely love all of the decorations. But, you know, for many people, this is a time of great sadness, you know, stress, grief, loneliness, even, you know, self-reflection, and not self-reflection in a great way where you're thinking about all of the things that you accomplished throughout the year or all the good things that happen in your life throughout the year, but self-reflection where you're thinking about everything that went wrong or what you wish that you did or missed opportunities, you know, things such as that. And that's what we're talking about today is kind of we want to share with you some tips on how to actually overcome those things, reconnect with and maintain your happiness throughout this time. Now, when Rosalind and I talk, I know that we're always smiling, you know, and typically super, super, super happy people. And so, you know, it might make you kind of think, what do they know about this? Well, trust and believe that anything that Rosalind and I speak about on this podcast, it has been something that we have experienced, that we have had to kind of go through a journey through, whether alone or you know, with the help of someone. And, you know, this topic is no different. So personally, in my life, my brother-in-law was 35 at the time of his death. He was a state trooper and he was actually killed in the line of duty. Now, it was not during Christmas time, but it was like 9/11, right? So every year in September, you know, there's this time of thought about, you know, certainly focusing more on like the life that he lived. But guess what? His birthday was also in December. So we have two holidays, you know, represented by the loss for us of that one person. My father-in-law died on Thanksgiving Day. He died on Thanksgiving Day. And guess what? His birthday also was in December. So two holidays right there. And then my mother-in-law passed away on New Year's Day. So the whole, of what we consider the holiday season in the U.S. certainly has been a time of significant loss, for our family. So we certainly have had to tap into some ways to maintain, our happiness and our joy during the holiday season. So, Rosalind, what about you?
Well, I've been fortunate enough not to experience any loss at the Christmas season. But I have been separated by continents from my family at Christmas time. Um, well, last year's a good example. My daughter lives and works in Seoul, Korea, and we had the lockdown and I mean, I know we were all alone last year, all of us, not you know all alone, but the whole world was alone because of all the lockdowns. But she couldn't make it home for Christmas. And it's always been such an important family time for me. It was really, really difficult to know that she was sitting in Korea by herself.
Mm,
Now, I mean, all the teachers at the school she teaches at, were in the same boat. They couldn't go home either. So they had some fellowship there. But the thought of her not being able to celebrate the way our traditions are, and say, it was heartbreaking for me. So it wasn't a loss, but it was still a loneliness,
mhm.
for my daughter, who I call my little Christmas elf. I mean, my daughter is 5 foot nothing. She's like a size 00. She's this teeny tiny little dynamo, and she loves to dress up as a Christmas elf. For her, she teaches kindergarten, and she loves to dress up, and so she's got this spirit about her that just I missed greatly. So it was not a loss, as I said, but a loneliness. And then I also, like you, I love the decorations. I love the fellowship. I love entertaining people.
Yes.
I love baking. I put so much stress on myself at this time of the year to make everything beautiful and perfect and tasty, and make sure everybody's having fun around me. Man, that can be exhausting, and it can be stressful, and you can lose your patience, and you can you end up crying yourself to sleep some nights. So while it's not a loss, again, it's also a source of losing touch with the happiness that is often associated with the holiday season. So um there are a lot of reasons.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
So, I mean, and that's what we're talking about today. Sources of sadness, during the holidays can be related to, it doesn't have to be related to any one thing.
yeah.
It can be stress. It can be, fatigue or exhaustion. It can be maybe having some unrealistic expectations, about the holiday, whether that means in the gifts that you will be able to give, or the gifts that you will receive,
Yeah.
or communications or fellowship, during the holidays. So having any type of unrealistic expectations over communication, maybe you're just inundated with phone calls or requests or demands for that holiday for that holiday dinner or the holiday festivities or invitations, to attend things. It can be financial stress. Parents really worrying about, being able to give their kids all of their dreams, all of the things that they're asking for Christmas. That can create a financial stress, because these aren't things that you've been doing, each month. And, there are ways, of course, that you can set aside funds, but it can be financial stress, creating that big dinner. And we've had an episode that you might want to check out about how to deal with like rising supply and rising prices and decrease in supply, especially, now in this time. as you mentioned, Rosalind, the inability to be with your family and friends. Maybe they're in the military, maybe they work out of state, or as Rosalind said with her daughter, abroad, or, like my family, previous grief and losses during the holiday season. So just trying to balance all of that really can be, quite difficult. So we just want to share with you some tips, some things that we've learned and that have helped us to maintain this happy smile. That if you're listening to us on the podcast, we hope that you can hear our smiles coming through the phone and or over the airwaves. And if you are watching us online, that you can see these smiles that we have on our faces. So, Rosalind, do you want to kind of kick it off?
Sure. So yeah, this is about things that you can do to help yourself over the hump of loneliness and stress and fatigue that we often um, that many people feel in the holiday season. And the first way I think that comes to mind is, you know what, celebrate the way you're comfortable. You don't have to be doing what Teresa and I do. You don't have to be doing even what your sister does or your brother does. Um, it doesn't have to be, if you don't want to be gathering with people, celebrate in some other way. Or if you can't be with other people, celebrate in some other way. Do something special for yourself. You know, create a little
Yeah.
home spa, make yourself a nice dinner, put on a good movie. It doesn't have to be a Christmas movie. If Christmas movies are off-putting, if they make you depressed, which they can make some people, put on some other movie. You know, make some popcorn, sit around, get in your comfy pajamas. Just make the celebration something that makes you comfortable and makes you happy. It will help you to feel less overwhelmed if you do make sure that you are doing things that bring you joy, whether they bring other people joy or not, right?
Absolutely. And I agree with that, especially, during these times. Here we are, we're still in the midst of, a pandemic. It certainly is a world prolonged issue. It's not just my issue or your issue. It's an issue in the world that has just been prolonged. And it's one of those things that I know that I think about it daily. No, I'm not worrying about it, but I'm certainly conscientious of it. And so the holidays this year, yet again, even though um, maybe we can connect in person a little bit more, there's still a great deal of separation, and I'm not feeling the same way, this holiday season that I did prior to the pandemic. So looking for, ways to celebrate, but even when you're not with a huge group. So I mean, just as you mentioned, things like a spa, that work that comes out of my mouth probably every other episode, right?
Yeah, we should count the number of episodes.
Everything can be solved, for me with a spa or a candle or the right music or affirmations. I mean, it all brings me back to center. But whatever it is, whether it's dressing up, I've even been thinking of some things that, maybe my husband and I could do, just here by ourselves, like getting maybe some Christmas pajamas, you know, get going and at home and go to the big screen and watch a movie. We were laughing last night how last year we watched Scrooge, I know, 6 times. we probably watched it in like every version that it has ever, come out. So, and my husband was like, and we can do that again. So, we really like that. So the Christmas Carol, a Christmas Carol is the name of it. But so, I mean, just doing whatever is going to make you, make you happy. And if it's just putting up a tree or no tree or putting up a wreath,
Yeah.
I have a wreath actually on my office door, and someone made it for me, so I really, really love it. She has no idea. I told her I did, but I don't think she really knows how much I really appreciate it. And she put like some lights in it, and they blink and do all that kind of stuff. So just however large or small,
That's
um,
right.
to make it something nice for you, or if you since it's if it's just going to be you and one other person, go out for dinner, for Christmas. I used to think, oh no, that would just be a tragedy. And one year my husband just said, look, we need to try it, and we did. We splurged and we went to a super nice place, and I am telling you, they had nutcrackers flying around. They had Santa walking. I mean, so try something new.
Yep. Yeah,
Hmm.
exactly.
Hmm.
Exactly.
Another thing that you can do is volunteer. Now, if you're a person who has that giving spirit like I am, I mean, I love to give just as much as I love Christmas. I think I probably love to give. And, I tend to do that like all year round, is find ways to give. So, volunteer your time and go and be around other people, whether it's serving food, in the food kitchens, or handing out toys to kids, or here we are in the midst of COVID, maybe doing something at the local church, if you're looking for like smaller environments, but, connect with people in that way.
For sure. I think that's a great one because you'll get to see the joy on the recipients' faces, and their joy will spill over to your feelings as well. You'll be surrounded by grateful people, and it will build your ability to be grateful for what you have and for where you are in your life. Really, I think for me, and I started instilling this in my children at a very, very young age. I would take them Christmas shopping, and they would have to buy a gift for a child their age and their gender, and then we would donate it to a toy drive. But in building that excitement in them, so that it's not just about their toys, but it's also about the spirit of giving.
Hmm.
And it's amazing for those of you who volunteer. You know what we're talking about, right? You know what kind of, it can just fill your heart so much to be able to give back and do something like that. You know what that feels like for those of you who don't, and for those of you who've never tried it, and you're feeling, especially this time of the year, really like grumpy and disconnected from happiness. I mean, it's not a happy world right now with COVID and stuff. Doing something like this can help with that for sure.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
I want to piggyback off of that and say, sometimes you think that you're giving to the person, but you are really the person who receives the
Yeah.
gift. I mean, it
Exactly.
is like, you know, it's that's just like the best. Like you said, when you see their response, it's like an
Yeah.
immediate gift right back,
Yeah.
to you.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Exactly. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Now, this is one that's very close to Teresa's heart. If you are grieving the loss of someone special, try to turn it into have some sort of celebration of their life, of who they were. Watch old videos of them, go to old photos and find the person full of smiles and really enjoy, journal about why they were special to you, memorialize them in some way. I don't know what you do, Teresa. You've experienced a lot of loss around the holiday season. How
Hmm.
do you manage that?
Well, I'm going to give you just kind of three tips. One is think about three of their funniest moments. Just the funniest times that you were with them, when you just kind of just had like a hoot. You just, where it was just so funny. So thinking about things like that, or maybe, around the holidays, think about like meals or dishes that they really enjoyed, whether enjoyed eating or enjoyed preparing. Maybe incorporate those into your festivities and eat those things, in honor of them. Or, if they had a favorite drink. Now I'm not saying, the alcoholic, but like the other day, I've already done it. I made a holiday punch. So I've already drank it, and the holiday isn't even here yet. But it's just a combination of juices. But it was something that was easy for me to make, and it brought back some very fond memories that we had, even going back to like childhood, because I knew my husband's brother when we were like we were like in junior high. So things like that. Or think about, this is a good one. Think about a piece of advice, perhaps, that they shared with you that you still live by today. So these are positive things, to tap into, and ways that you can actually celebrate them without just thinking of, they're gone, but thinking about the joys that you experienced when they were here.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are all great tips. And, it can be particularly hard time of the year if you're missing those loved ones. So it's great to find a way to celebrate them at this time of the year in some
Mm-hmm.
way to help lift your spirits.
And then
And
I also, one last thing, I hate to interrupt. I also like to think about that helps them really get over the sadness is, what would they want from me today? Like if they were, if they knew that I was sad, like what would they say to me? Would they want me to like, stop and act like I just can't go on? And really, for each of those people, for us, no. They would want us to keep going on and to live out our journey, because they lived out theirs. They lived their journey and did their good work, and we're still here, and there's still good work that we need to do. So they would want us to keep living and keep being busy and fulfilling like our purpose and do our good work.
that's really super important to think about, Teresa. Thank you. Um, and as I said, I haven't experienced any big loss at Christmas, but I'm one of these people that overschedules everything and puts expectations on myself sometimes that are unrealistic. I love to bake. At this time, I don't bake the rest. I bake very little the rest of the time of the year. But for me, it's not the holiday season if I don't have 5 dozen cookie batches on the go. And so one of the things I do is I really push myself too hard. I don't plan ahead. So this year I'm trying to be mindful. I'm trying to pace myself. I'm trying to, last year or the year before, I think, I can't remember, I didn't even get my darn Christmas tree up out of the box until 2 days before Christmas, and all it had on it was the lights. I didn't even get it decorated because I was trying to do too much in too little
That's
time.
when you definitely overscheduled.
Exactly.
You look at that tree with just the lights, and you say, "Oh, it's beautiful."
Exactly.
Simple is good.
Yeah. So that can, for me, and some people that wouldn't bother, but for me, I found it to be incredibly stressful, and I'm not a pleasant person when I'm that stressed out, to be truthful. So learning to pace myself and learning to be more realistic about my plans. That's a really, really important thing to do if you're a little crazy like me around this holiday season, trying to make everything live your fantasy of what the perfect holiday should be. So pacing yourself, planning, that sort of thing.
Yes, and I'm gonna echo what my sidekick over there, Samson, is saying. No. that it is okay to
Yeah,
say no.
exactly. Yeah.
That you're not gonna attend every event, and that you're not going to participate in absolutely everything, and that you aren't gonna take on all of these activities and things, expectations that people have of you, by yourself. But what I'm gonna say is have your exit strategy in place, or your plan in place. Well, there goes my other assistant, because that's the junior assistant if you're watching the video.
He's
So
flashing me his butt.
he's flashing his butt. Yeah. So I have a 10-month-old puppy, and that's gotten to be pretty big, but so he's learning the ropes today. But yes, absolutely, you want to say it's okay to say no, to those things, but have your strategy set up, because you already know you're going to be asked, to the things you're going to be asked to do, whether it's attend functions or parties or host. Oh my gosh, one year someone actually asked if they could host something at our home, and we said yes. Why in the world? We are not an event center, and I don't know why we agreed to such a thing. And leading up to it, we couldn't figure out why we agreed to such a thing. So watch those things and already have your reasoning or your answer in place. Oh no is a complete sentence, so you don't have to give an explanation. But for those times that you do, you've already accepted another invitation to something else. They don't have to know what it is.
Yeah, it really is all about sticking to your boundaries, knowing your boundaries, first of
Yes.
all, knowing what you can tolerate. With respect to family gatherings, knowing what you can tolerate with respect to hosting, all of those things, knowing what you can tolerate and setting those boundaries and keeping those boundaries, and just plan your way. Like, if you cannot stomach the idea of attending yet another function, have that, like Teresa said, your exit strategy. Plan your time, plan your exit strategy, stick to your boundaries, plan your boundaries. If there are things that you just cannot do, it's okay to say no. It's okay, even if it means that you're just staying home in your pajamas watching those movies. And that's what makes you feel good. That's your boundary, right? There's your boundary. I can't be with Uncle Nick again because, man, oh man, the last time I don't know.
Absolutely. And like I said, have your strategy so you can be graceful. We don't want to create additional problems, especially if it's, a family gathering.
That's right.
That you really don't want to attend. Hey, I already have something planned, or this year I'm going to do something more quiet, or whatever the case may be. So it doesn't have to hurt anybody's feelings. But, a sidebar, I will say, and that'll be another podcast, is, you can work through next year strengthening those relationships. So when the holiday comes back around, you do want to get together. But this year, that's not the case. Then, already have your verbiage put together on how you are actually going to avoid this gathering. Or perhaps it is that, hey, you absolutely have to go, or it's just going to cause all kinds of chaos. But you know what? You let the host know in advance, who's ever home it is that you're going to, that I'm going to come, but I'm only going to be able to stay 30 minutes or an hour because I have a very important engagement that I absolutely have to, and blame it on work, blame it on whatever, and then leave the function and go back home and put on your Christmas pajamas. I'm not asking you to lie. We're not suggesting that, but you know what we mean. Yes.
Yeah.
So be graceful.
Yeah. And the important thing is that if you don't stick to your boundaries, you won't be happy. You'll make yourself miserable. And so you need to know what your boundaries are, and you need to stick to them, and you'll be a happier person.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then understand that sometimes less is more. Sometimes less is more. So, like Rosalind put up the tree and just had those lights. I've done that a year before, and to convince myself that it was just beautiful and, it was simple and we didn't need all that other stuff anyway. But sometimes less is more, especially, this year, if you're used to hosting like we are, or you're used to putting up a bunch of decorations and, people stop and by, you might not feel like it's necessarily needed because there won't be so many people stopping by, or you're not really hosting, but you still want to have some festivities. Just like I have my wreath on my door for my office, you can do something simple like that, or put up one of those small trees, in the room that you're going to spend the most time in over the holiday season, so that you get to have a glimpse still of those the festivities or the decorations of the season without really just going overboard, and maybe, getting your holiday dinner catered, have it prepared and go and pick it up for yourself instead of going into the kitchen and doing all of the cooking yourself. So those are just kind of some things. Sometimes, like I said, less is more.
Yeah, you it can be whatever you want it to be, right? The holiday season can be whatever you
Mhm.
want it to be. You don't have to conform to the the norms that we see on Hallmark Christmas movies to make your life happy, right? Um,
Absolutely.
so yeah, yeah, yeah,
Absolutely. And you know what? It is okay if you're finding that, really your sadness really surpasses some of these things that seem like they're a little bit more simple, but you truly have true sadness, true depression. You just cannot function, during the holiday season. And you feel like, just doing some simple things like focusing on yourself, that's just really not going to help you or snap you out of it. It is totally okay to ask for help. It
exactly.
is totally okay to ask for help. If you have someone or a group within your circle that you have easy access to that you feel will really benefit you now, we don't want to just go and tell Shirley, and Shirley is one of those people who's always negative herself and can't figure her way out of a paper bag, for lack of a better expression. Then we're not going to talk to Shirley about this. If you need help, and you need counseling, it is nothing wrong with reaching out to get the true support that you need.
Exactly, exactly. There's never anything wrong with that. Doesn't matter what time of the year. And Teresa and I try and give out a lot of advice on our podcast, but we're not a replacement for
Mhm.
people who really require some mental health support. And so doing it and being brave enough to do it is really, really admirable. The
Absolutely. That actually can be your gift to yourself this holiday
Exactly.
season. Sorry to interrupt, but
Yeah.
that can be your, because every year I give myself a gift. So I'm always looking for what is that gift going to be. So giving yourself this gift of improving your mental health overall is
Yeah.
really invaluable.
Yeah. Yeah. Another thing you need to do at this stressful time of the year is keep YOU front and center in your mind. And by that, I mean, make sure you're eating right, make sure you're getting exercise, make sure you're not drinking too much, make sure you get your rest. Take care of your physical health. I mean, the previously we just mentioned taking care of your mental health. Well, your physical health is really equally as important because if it's going downhill, it's gonna affect your mental health too. So take care of your physical body at this time of the year too.
Yes, yes. And mind your money, manage your finances. This is a time where, we're into giving, so we can sometimes overgive, right? We can overextend ourselves and really start to feel the brunt of that, after the new year. Right now it's like all exciting and, everybody's exceedingly happy with the things that they're receiving. But, next year in 2022, at the beginning of the year, January and February, that's when we start to feel that if we have overextended ourselves. So you want to manage your finances. What I try to tell, my clients is when it comes to giving children things, that your children really want to spend time with you. That might not be what comes out of their mouths when you ask them what do they want for Christmas or when they're writing out their Christmas list, but they really want to be with you. I'm sure that they would not trade all those gifts for, being able to spend time with you. And, kids pick up on more than on what we do, way more than what we say. And, so your kids, they notice when you're stressed out. So if those after holiday bills cause you stress, they'll pick up on it, even if you're not necessarily saying it. So manage your finances. And you can also listen to our podcast on holiday financial tips for, more of our tips on this. That was a really good episode because we really focused on, the rising prices and the decrease in demand, and not in demand, but in supply.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we may even just get around to doing a whole podcast just on holiday finances. Who
Yeah.
knows? But the last thing I want to share is, if you can't be with your family and friends, and many of us cannot be with our family and friends at this time of the year, even when it's not COVID, but especially during COVID, it's been very, very difficult. Create a virtual connection. Agree to be part of the gathering. Arrange a time where everybody gathers. The people who can be together are together in one spot. You all connect by virtually somehow, and celebrate together. Come prepared with your own meal, your own version of the celebratory foods that you would normally have if you were with those people. Even if you normally get dressed up in your Sunday finest, get dressed up in your Sunday finest. If you normally get dressed up in your Christmas pajamas, get dressed up in, connect with them virtually in almost exact same way you would if you could be together. And there are all kinds of online games that you can play together. There is a way to connect and feel that connection, but it takes a little bit of effort on everybody's part to agree that this is the way it's going to be this year. We're going to, as I said, get everybody come to this virtual party in your pajamas or in your Sunday finest. Prepare your own celebratory food. Let's eat together. Let's have fellowship in the only way possible, given COVID and or distance.
Mm-hmm.
That's the last one I wanted to share, Teresa.
Yes, I love that. My mom and I, we do that often now, where I will call her or she will call me, and there's a television program that she just loves, and we'll just sit there. We're on the phone, and we're both, she's in Arkansas, I'm in Georgia, and we're both watching this program, and we kind of laugh and this and that, and when the commercials come on, then we comment. But it's a way for us to just really connect and enjoy the same thing at the same time. So it can be done, whether it's through Zoom, through FaceTime, or if you're really not a techie person, just simply just holding the phone, through a program that you're going to watch. Things like that can really be fun. So I hope that you've enjoyed these tips. I mean, I think that, really, really, really great tips here, such as, and I'll recap them very quickly. So celebrate in a way that you're comfortable. Volunteer. Take some time to volunteer. If you're dealing with grief, turn your grief into a celebration. Pace yourself. Be kind to yourself. You're your best thing. So be kind to yourself. Be graceful and don't attend those family functions that you hate. Remember that sometimes less is more. It's okay to ask for help. Keep you, YOU, front and center in your mind when you're making your decisions this holiday. Manage your finances, create a virtual connection. And so our takeaway for today for you is you can take, you can turn that holiday frown to like turn that frown upside down, right? Turn that holiday frown around by setting needed boundaries. Take care of yourself and celebrate in a way that refreshes you. Enjoy your holidays, everyone. We are so excited. Thank you so much for being with us this year, and we're looking forward to being with you again and after the holidays. I don't know, just enjoy.
Thanks for listening, everyone, and happy holidays.
Yes, happy holidays. Mhm.